Nathan Carter yanked the wheel of his 1966 Shelby Cobra, the silver beast growling as it veered onto the gravel shoulder of a desolate Tennessee backroad. The engine's cough was unmistakable, a death rattle to anyone who'd spent their life around cars. Black smoke curled from beneath the hood, twisting against the fiery orange of the setting sun. "Damn it," Nathan muttered, tugging his warm baseball cap lower over his eyes. The disguise was simple: cap, sunglasses, a flannel shirt cheaper, then his usual cufflinks. For 3 days, it had worked, granting him anonymity from the corporate circus of Carter Automotive, the billion-dollar empire he'd helmed for a decade. 3 days of freedom until now. He popped the hood, wincing as a plume of acrid smoke escaped. The engine block radiated heat, and a ruptured coolant line glistened in the fading light. Nathan, 42, knew cars, had rebuilt this Cobra himself, but this wasn't the roadside fix. His phone confirmed the worst. No service. Perfect. 60 miles from civilization, night falling fast, and his custom restoration project was dead on arrival. A weathered sign 50 yards ahead caught his eye. Hayes Auto Shop. Honest work. Honest prices. The faded lettering, peeling under decades of sun, promised salvation, or at least a tow. Nathan grabbed his duffel from the passenger seat. The weight of his real identity, CEO of Carter Automotive, heir to a racing dynasty, pressing heavier than the bag. The garage loomed like a relic, its once white walls yellowed, a 1970s gas pump standing sentinel like a forgotten soldier. The bay door gaped open, revealing a dimly lit interior cluttered with tools, oil cans, and faded posters of muscle cars. Nathan stepped into the cool shade, the scent of grease and metal wrapping around him like a memory of his father, Thomas Carter, tuning engines in their old garage. "Hello?" he called, his voice echoing. A metallic clang answered, followed by a string of colorful curses from beneath an ancient pickup truck. Work boots emerged, then denim coveralls, and finally the weathered face of a man in his early 70s. His gray hair was cropped close, his hands scarred and steady, moving with the grace of a lifelong mechanic. "We're about closed," he said, wiping grease on a rag that seemed to spread more dirt than it cleaned. His eyes, sharp as a torque wrench, sized Nathan up. "But you look like you need help." "Car broke down a quarter-mile back," Nathan explained, softening his tone to mask his corporate polish. "Shelby Cobra, 66. Overheating, coolant line ruptured." The old man's eyebrows lifted slightly. "Cobra, huh? Original or kit?" "Original," Nathan said, impressed by the question. "Most couldn't tell. Restored it myself." "That's a hell of a car to break down out here," the man observed, a hint of suspicion in his voice. "I'm Walter Hayes. This is my shop." "Name's Sam," Nathan lied, dropping his surname. "Can you help?" Walter studied him, then nodded. "Let me lock up, and we'll take a look. Might need to tow it." As he grabbed his keys, Nathan noticed movement in the corner. A young woman, maybe 22, sat on a stool by a workbench, engrossed in a sketchpad. Her dark hair was tied in a messy bun, her paint-stained jeans and rolled-up flannel shirt flecked with grease. She hadn't looked up, her pencil moving with fierce focus. "That's my granddaughter, Ava," Walter said, following Nathan's gaze, always drawing. "Ava, say hi to our customer." The girl glanced up, her hazel eyes meeting Nathan's for a fleeting second. They were startlingly sharp, assessing him with a precision that matched Walter's, but carried a spark of something else: creativity, ambition, maybe defiance. "Hi," she said flatly, returning to her pad. Walter chuckled. "Don't mind her. Gets lost in those sketches." 20 minutes later, Walter was inspecting the Cobra, his hands deftly probing the engine. "A beautiful machine," he muttered, almost to himself. "Coolant line shot. Heat stress, probably. These classics weren't built for long hauls. In this weather, Nathan nodded, guilt prickling. He'd pushed the car hard, chasing the open road to outrun his thoughts, the boardroom battles, the leaked prototype rumors, the weight of his father's legacy. "Can you fix it?" "Sure can," Walter said. "But parts won't get here till morning." Nathan reached for his wallet. "I'll pay for expedited shipping, whatever it costs." Walter raised a grease-stained hand. "Money don't make." "Parts appear, son. There's a motel down the road. Clean enough. I'll tow it free and check it out. Call it a favor for someone who knows a good Cobra." "I can't let you work for free," Nathan protested, unused to refusal. Asterisk. Walter's face creased into a smile that softened his rugged features. "Sometimes you help a stranger 'cause it's right. My daddy taught me that. Besides, ain't every day I get to tinker with a 66. Nathan relented, glancing back. At the garage, Ava stood in the doorway, her sketchpad clutched to her chest, watching the tow with intense focus. When she caught Nathan's eye, she ducked inside, leaving an impression he couldn't shake. Walter hitched the Cobra to his tow truck, and Ava appeared, keys jangling. "Grandpa says I'm driving you to the motel. It's getting dark." In her beat-up Honda, Nathan noticed her sketchpad on the dashboard. A loose page revealed a technical drawing and engine, but not one he recognized. The lines were precise, the proportions innovative, almost futuristic. His pulse quickened. As a CEO, he'd seen thousands of designs, but this was different. Ava caught him looking and tensed, her knuckles white on the wheel. At the motel, her phone rang, her face clouding. "I'll be right there," she said, then sped off without a word, leaving the sketchpad behind. Nathan called after her, but she was gone. In his sparse room, he showered off the road dust and stared at the pad on the nightstand. He shouldn't look. Privacy mattered, but curiosity burned. He flipped it open. The first pages held landscapes and portraits, the work of a skilled artist. But deeper in, the sketches shifted. Engine schematics, chassis designs, aerodynamic profiles, all labeled with specs that made his jaw drop. A hybrid propulsion system, blending sustainable materials with performance, outstripped Carter Automotive's $50 million R&D project. Notes in Ava's neat script detailed efficiency gains and cost reductions. This wasn't a hobby. It was genius. Nathan sat back, his mind racing. Why was someone this talented in a nowhere town? His phone buzzed a text from his assistant. "Rachel, Victor Lang spreading rumors you're AWOL. Board's nervous. Where are you?" Nathan ignored it, his thoughts on Ava's designs. Then another message. Security flagged data breach attempts on prototype server. Lang's team suspected. His stomach sank. Victor Lang, CEO of Peak Pulse Industries, was a shark, and Nathan's disappearance had drawn blood. As he closed the sketchpad, a voice interrupted. "Hey, stranger." Clara Mitchell, a wiry woman in her 50s, stood outside his window, her apron dusted with flour from her nearby grocery store. "That Cobra yours? Looks like something a big shot would drive." "Just a car guy, Nathan." Shod, forcing a smile. "Name's Sam." Clara's eyes narrowed, playful but probing. "Sure, Sam. Folks round here talk. You don't look like you're just passing through." Nathan laughed it off, but her words lingered. His cover was thin, and Lang was closing in. Tomorrow, he'd return to the garage not just for his car, but for answers. Ava's talent, Walter's kindness, and this dusty town felt like more than chance. His father had always said cars revealed a man's soul. Nathan was starting to wonder what this breakdown would reveal about his. Nathan Carter, cloaked as Sam Turner, pushed open the creaking door of Hayes Auto Shop at dawn, the scent of motor oil and steel greeting him like an old friend. His flannel shirt and work boots were a far cry from the tailored suits of Carter. Automotive's Atlanta headquarters, but the disguise felt more natural with each passing hour. The Shelby Cobra, his pride and joy, sat in the garage bay, its hood propped open, a testament to the breakdown that had stranded him in this Tennessee backwater. But after glimpsing Ava Hayes' revolutionary designs in her sketchpad, Nathan knew this wasn't just a pit stop, it was a reckoning. He needed to understand why a talent like hers was buried here, and what secrets Walter Hayes, the shop's weathered owner, held. Walter, 72, was already at work, his scarred hands probing the Cobra's engine with surgical precision. "You're early, Sam," he said without looking up, his voice gruff but warm. "Didn't expect you back till noon." "Figured I owe you," Nathan said, thickening the drawl he'd shed years ago. "Tow was free. Least I can do is lend. A hand, sweep floors, clean tools, whatever you need." Walter's sharp eyes flicked to him, assessing. "Not used to folks offering help without a catch. All right, grab a broom. Don't break anything." Nathan set to work, sweeping the concrete floor littered with bolts and oil stains. The garage was a time capsule, vintage tools hung in neat rows, a faded Pontiac from 1968 pinned to the wall, the air thick with the hum of a life built on fixing what was broken. Ava was absent, likely sleeping after her late-night dash. But her presence lingered in the sketchpad. Nathan had returned to the workbench, its pages burning in his memory. Those designs, hybrid engines, aerodynamic chassis, could redefine Carter Automotive's future, yet here they were, gathering dust in a town time forgot. As he worked, Nathan observed the rhythm of the shop. Walter greeted every customer by name, from farmers to single moms, his banter easy but his hands never slowing. A teenage boy dropped off a rattling Chevy, and Walter slipped him a candy bar, waving off payment until next harvest. Clara Mitchell, the grocery store owner who'd grilled Nathan at the motel, breezed in with a flat tire. "I heard you're still here, Sam," she said, her eyes twinkling with suspicion. "Most folks with a car like that don't stick around." "Just waiting on parts," Nathan said, keeping his tone light. "Walter's doing me a solid," Clara hummed, unconvinced. "Walter's been doing solids for this town since I was in pigtails. Used to talk about big dreams, racing circuits, fancy designs. Came back when his wife got sick. Never left." Nathan's pulse quickened. Racing circuits? His father, Thomas Carter, had been a racing legend, building Carter Automotive on Indianapolis victories. Could Walter have crossed paths with him? He filed the thought away, focusing on the broom. Clara's curiosity was a problem. His cover as Sam Turner wouldn't hold under scrutiny, especially with Victor Lang, his rival at Peak Pulse Industries. Sniffing around by mid-morning, Nathan had graduated to polishing tools, earning a nod from Walter. "You're not half bad," the old man said, tossing him a rag. "Ever work in a shop before?" "Helped my dad with cars growing up," Nathan said, the truth slipping out before he could stop it. "Nothing like this, though." Walter grunted. Returning to the Cobra, Nathan's phone buzzed in his pocket, a text from Rachel, his assistant. "Lang's team hit our servers again. Board wants you back now." He ignored it, but the pressure was mounting. Lang's data breaches and rumors about Nathan's disappearance could destabilize Carter Automotive. He needed answers, and fast. As he stacked oil cans, Ava entered, her sketchpad tucked under her arm. She froze when she saw Nathan, her hazel eyes narrowing. "You're still here," she said, her voice clipped. "Helping out," Nathan replied, gesturing to the cans. "Your grandpa's fixing my car for free. Gotta earn my keep." Ava's gaze flicked to her sketchpad's resting spot, then back to him. "Don't touch my stuff again," she said, low enough that Walter wouldn't hear. Nathan nodded, guilt pricking. "Won't happen again." But he couldn't unsee those designs or the potential they held. Ava was no ordinary artist. She was a game changer, and he needed to know why she was hiding. Day 3 at Hayes Auto Shop, and Nathan had carved out a niche, cleaning, fetching parts, and keeping his ears open. He ate lunch with Walter at a rickety table in the back. Sandwiches made from Clara's deli meat, the old man's stories painting. A picture of a town held together by grit and goodwill. But Nathan's mind was on the wall of photos in Walter's cramped office, glimpsed during a coffee run. One image haunted him, a young Walter, coverall stained, grinning beside a race car with a driver whose face Nathan knew too well his father, Thomas Carter. That afternoon, while Walter was out towing a stranded tractor, Nathan slipped into the office, the door creaking ominously. The photo was there, pinned above a desk cluttered with invoices marked "Pay when able" or "No charge." Indianapolis, 1976, the caption read. Walter stood in a pit crew, arm around Thomas, both holding a trophy, their smiles electric. Nathan's chest tightened. His father had spun countless tales of his racing days, but never mentioned Walter Hayes. Why? He scanned the desk, spotting a yellowed letter tucked under a wrench. The letterhead read Carter Automotive, 1977. His hand shook as he unfolded it. Dear Mr. Hayes, your application for our engineering team is appreciated, but we seek candidates with formal education. Your fuel injection design shows promise, but requires refinement. The signature was his father's. Below, in Walter's tight scrawl, they used it anyway. No credit. Nathan's blood ran cold. The fuel injection system patented by Carter Automotive in 1978 had launched their performance division, cementing their empire. Had his father stolen it from Walter? Footsteps jolted him. Ava stood in the doorway, her sketchpad clutched tight. What are you doing? She demanded, her voice sharp. Getting coffee cups, Nathan lied, slipping the letter back. Door was open. Her eyes narrowed, darting to the desk. That's Grandpa's private stuff. You're not just some drifter, are you? I'm just Sam, Nathan said, his heart pounding. Helping out. Ava stepped closer, her gaze fierce. Grandpa's been through enough. If you're digging for something, leave him out of it. Before Nathan could respond, Walter's tow truck rumbled outside. Ava shot him a final warning. Look and left. Nathan exhaled, the letter's words burning in his mind. He needed to confront Walter, but not yet. His cover was fraying, and Clara's earlier comment about Walter's big dreams echoed. He had to tread carefully. That evening, over coffee, Nathan steered the conversation. Clara mentioned you had racing dreams once, he said casually. Ever work on anything big? Walter's hand paused on his mug, his eyes distant. Long time ago, worked pit crew for a hotshot driver. Designed a fuel system that won him Indy in '76. Thought it'd get me somewhere. Didn't. What happened? Nathan pressed, his voice steady despite the storm inside. Life, Walter. Sighed, shrugging. Wife got sick, had a daughter to raise. The team big company said my ideas needed polish. Then they used them anyway. No credit, no pay. Came back here, opened this shop. No regrets. Nathan's throat tightened. That's wrong. They should have made it right. Walter's smile was weary. World don't work that way, Sam. You do what's right for family, not for glory. As Walter locked up, Nathan's phone buzzed. Lang spotted in Knoxville, 40 miles out. Asking about a Cobra. Victor Lang was closing in, and Nathan's time was running out. He had to uncover the truth about Walter, Ava, and his father's betrayal before his cover or Ava's designs fell into the wrong hands. Nathan Carter, still posing as Sam Turner, hauled a crate of spark plugs into Hayes Auto Shop, the Tennessee sun baking the gravel lot outside. 5 days into his undercover stint, the garage's rhythm Walter Hayes' steady hands, the clatter of tools, the hum of small-town life had become familiar. But Nathan's mind churned with the revelations of Walter's past. The old mechanic had designed the fuel injection system that powered Nathan's father, Thomas Carter, to victory at Indianapolis in 1976, only to be denied credit by Carter Automotive. The betrayal stung, a crack in the legacy Nathan had spent his career upholding. Yet it was Ava Hayes, Walter's granddaughter, who kept him awake at night. Her sketchpad, glimpsed in a moment of weakness, held designs that could redefine the automotive industry. Nathan needed to know more, but his time was running out. Ava worked quietly at her workbench, her pencil dancing across a new sketch. Her guarded demeanor hadn't softened, especially after catching Nathan in Walter's office yesterday. He'd apologized for touching her sketchpad, but her warning, "Leave Grandpa out of it," echoed. Nathan stacked the plugs, stealing glances. Her focus was absolute, her hands steady as she sketched what looked like a chassis frame, its curves optimized for aerodynamics. He recognized the brilliance instantly. His own engineers, with their $50 million R&D budget, hadn't come close to this. During a lull, Nathan approached, wiping his hands on a rag to keep up his Sam act. "You're good with that pencil," he said casually. "Ever think about designing cars for real?" Ava's hand paused, her hazel eyes flicking to him, sharp and wary. "It's just doodling," she said, closing the pad. "Keeps me busy." "Doodling doesn't look like that," Nathan pressed, keeping his tone light. "That's next-level stuff. You could be anywhere, Detroit, Silicon Valley. Why stay here?" Her jaw tightened. "Grandpa needs me. This town needs him. Not everyone chases big cities." She stood, brushing past him to grab a wrench. Her words laced with defiance. Nathan let it drop, but her answer didn't satisfy him. Ava's talent was a diamond in a coal mine, and her loyalty to Walter, while admirable, felt like a cage. He needed to dig deeper, but Clara Mitchell's voice interrupted, calling from the shop's entrance. "Sam, got a delivery for Walter." The grocery store owner stood with a box of sandwiches, her eyes twinkling with that same probing curiosity. "You're awful cozy here for a guy just passing through." "Helping out," Nathan said, forcing a grin as he took the box. "Walter's a good guy." "The best," Clara agreed, her gaze lingering. "But folks are talking. Ellie Brooks, our local reporter, thinks you're more than a drifter. Saw your Cobra and got ideas." Nathan's stomach twisted. Ellie Brooks, the journalist mentioned in the outline, was a new threat to his cover. "I'm just Sam," he said. But Clara's smile said she wasn't buying it. As Clara left, Nathan's phone buzzed a text from Sarah, his head of security. "Lang's in town. Spotted at the diner, asking about a Cobra and a mechanic named Hayes. He's got a hacker tailing you. Watch your back." Victor Lang, CEO of Peak Pulse Industries, wasn't just sniffing around. He was hunting. Nathan's disappearance had drawn attention, and Ava's designs were a prize Lang would kill to steal. Nathan needed to act, but first, he had to win Ava's trust. That evening, as Walter locked up, Nathan lingered by Ava's workbench. "I owe you an apology," he said, his voice low. "I looked at your sketchpad. I shouldn't have, but those designs, they're incredible." "I'm Nathan Carter, CEO of Carter Automotive. Your work could change the industry." Ava froze, her eyes widening. "Carter Automotive? The people who rejected my scholarship applications 3 times. Her voice was ice, but hurt flickered. "Beneath, you lied to me, to Grandpa." "I had to," Nathan said, stepping closer. "I'm here because my car broke down, but now I know it's no accident. Your designs are better than anything my team's got, and someone else knows it. Victor Lang's in town. He'll steal your work if we don't protect it." Ava clutched her sketchpad, her face paling. "Why should I trust you? You're just another suit who thinks he can buy everything." "Because I've seen what happens when talent like yours gets buried." Nathan said, his voice raw. "And I'm not leaving until we make this right." Nathan stood in the motel's dim bathroom, splashing cold water on his face to clear his mind. Ava's accusation, "You're just another suit," cut deep, but her hesitation to dismiss him gave him hope. She'd agreed to talk tomorrow, but Victor Lang's presence was a ticking clock. Nathan needed a plan to protect Ava's designs, honor Walter's legacy, and expose Lang's schemes without losing his cover to the town or Ellie Brooks, the reporter circling like a hawk. His phone buzzed, a message from Sophie, his 17-year-old daughter, ignored since yesterday. "Dad, where are you?" "Mom says you're dodging the board. Call me." Guilt gnawed at him. Sophie deserved better than an absent father, but he couldn't leave now. He called Sarah, keeping his voice low as the motel's neon sign buzzed outside. "Lang's here," he said. "He's after Ava Hayes' designs. She's got a hybrid system that'd make our prototype obsolete. I need you to prep a public event big fast in this town. We'll showcase her work, expose Lang, and fix a wrong from my dad's time." "An event?" Sarah's tone was skeptical. "In Nowhere, Tennessee? The board's already freaking out about your absence. And Lang's hackers good nearly got our server last night. Then move faster," Nathan said. "Get our PR team to book the high school auditorium, invite industry press, and pull records on a mechanic named Walter Hayes. He designed our fuel injection system in '76. My dad screwed him over. We're making it right, royalties, credit, everything." Sarah sighed. "This is insane, but I'll make it happen. What about Lang?" "Set a trap," Nathan said. "Leak a fake design file to our server, something flashy but flawed. If Lang bites, we'll catch him stealing. And get me a contract for Ava Junior Designer, flexible terms, so she can stay with her grandpa." Back at the garage the next morning, Nathan volunteered for a parts run, giving him time to study Ava's sketchpad again, returned to her, but still vivid in his mind. Her hybrid system was 20% more efficient than Carter Automotive's. Her chassis designs lighter and cheaper to produce. But her journal entries, tucked between schematics, revealed the real story. Grandpa's cough is worse. He hides the bills, but I see them. If my designs worked, maybe I could help him. Applied to Carter's scholarship again. Rejected. Dreams are for people who can leave. Nathan's chest tightened. His company had failed her. Just as it had failed Walter Dodd, he approached Ava at lunch. Walter out on a tow. "I meant what I said," he told her, handing her a USB drive with Carter Automotive's prototype specs. "Your designs beat this. Lang's dangerous, but I'm not here to buy you out. I want you on my team, your terms, your town, and I want to fix what my company did to your grandpa." Ava stared at the drive, her guard wavering. "If you're lying, I'll make you regret it." "I'm not," Nathan said, meeting her gaze. "But we need to move fast. Lang's closing in." As Ava nodded, a shadow crossed the garage door. Ellie Brooks, notepad in hand, stepped inside. "Sam, right?" she said, her smile sharp. "Got a minute to talk about that Cobra?" Nathan's pulse spiked. The trap was set, but the walls were closing in. Nathan Carter, still cloaked as Sam Turner, tightened a bolt on a customer's pickup in Hayes Auto Shop, the Tennessee garage's familiar clatter masking his racing pulse. 7 days into his undercover mission, Nathan had uncovered a web of betrayal. Walter Hayes, the shop's 72-year-old owner, had designed the fuel injection system that launched Carter Automotive's empire in 1976, only to be denied credit by Nathan's father, Thomas Carter. Ava Hayes, Walter's granddaughter, possessed Design's hybrid engines, aerodynamic chassis that could revolutionize the industry. Yet she was trapped in this small town by loyalty and Carter Automotive's repeated rejections. Nathan's plan to honor Walter, hire Ava, and expose Victor Lang, his rival at Peak Pulse Industries, was in motion. but the walls were closing in. The garage buzzed with morning activity. Walter joking with a farmer over a busted radiator. Ava sketching at her workbench, her pencil ablur. Nathan's phone, hidden in his pocket, held text from Sarah, his head of security. Event set for tomorrow. Auditorium booked, press invited, fake design file uploaded. Lang's hacker took the bait. The trap was ready, a flawed schematic designed to catch Lang stealing, but Nathan's cover was fraying. Ellie Brooks, the local reporter, had been sniffing around, her questions about his Cobra too sharp. Clara Mitchell, the grocery store owner, dropped hints about big city strangers that made Nathan's skin prickle. And Ava, though warming to him after his confession, still watched him like a hawk dot as Nathan hauled a tire to the alignment rack. Ellie appeared at the shop's entrance, her notepad out, her smile deceptively friendly. "Sam, got a sec?" she asked, her eyes scanning the Cobra in the bay. "Folks say you're not just a drifter. That car's worth more than most houses here. You in the auto biz?" Nathan forced a chuckle, wiping sweat from his brow to buy time. "Just a guy who likes old cars, Ellie. Walter's fixing me up." Her pen tapped the notepad. "Funny, I ran a plate check. Car's registered to a shell company in Atlanta. Smells like corporate money." Nathan's heart skipped, but he kept his tone easy. "You're barking up the wrong tree. I'm nobody special." Ellie's smile didn't waver. "We'll see. Got a source saying a big shot's hiding out here. I'll find out who." She left, her heels clicking on the gravel, leaving Nathan rattled. If Ellie broke the story before tomorrow's event, it could spook Lang or derail his plan to honor. Walter and Ava. Walter, finishing with the farmer, caught Nathan's eye. "You're jumpy, Sam," he said, his voice low. "Something you ain't telling me?" "Just eager to get my car back," Nathan lied. But Walter's gaze lingered, sharp as ever. The old man had nearly caught him snooping in the office. And Nathan's slip about fuel dynamics yesterday hadn't helped. Walter's suspicion was a growing threat, but Ava's trust was the bigger hurdle. That afternoon, Nathan found Ava alone, cleaning tools. "We need to talk," he said quietly. "Lang's not just asking questions. He's got people watching the shop. I saw a guy with a camera last night, near the back door. Your designs aren't safe." Ava's hands stilled, her face tightening. "You brought this here," she said, her voice low but fierce. "If Grandpa gets hurt because of you—" "He won't," Nathan cut in. "Tomorrow, I'm holding an event to show the world your work and make things right for Walter. But I need you to trust me. Lang's hacker stole a fake design I planted. When he uses it, we'll have him." Ava studied him, her eyes searching. "Why do this? You don't know us." "Because my dad built our company on Walter's genius," Nathan said, his voice raw. "I didn't know until I got here. I can't undo the past, but I can fix the future. For you, for him, for Carter Automotive." Before Ava could respond, Walter's tow truck rumbled in. "Sam, help me unload," he called, his tone clipped. Nathan nodded, but his phone buzzed. A text from Sophie, his daughter. "Dad, you're on the news. Missing CEO? Call me." The world was catching up, and Nathan was out of time. The high school auditorium hummed with anticipation, its folding chairs replaced with plush seating, a massive screen glowing behind a sleek stage. Nathan stood backstage, his Sam Turner disguise shed for a tailored suit, the weight of his real identity. Nathan Carter, CEO of Carter Automotive, settling like armor. The room brimmed with unlikely faces. Industry reporters from Detroit, Carter Automotive engineers, local residents like Clara Mitchell, even the mayor, all drawn by a cryptic press release promising a new chapter in automotive innovation. Walter and Ava sat in the front row, reserved seats, their expressions a mix of confusion and curiosity. Nathan's plan was simple: honor Walter, launch Ava, and trap Victor Lang. but with Ellie Brooks in the crowd, her pen poised, and Sophie's unanswered text burning in his pocket, the stakes felt personal. At 2 p.m., Nathan stepped into the spotlight, his voice steady through the professional sound system. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here. Today, Carter Automotive corrects a wrong, celebrates a visionary, and invests in the future. The screen lit up with a photo from Walter's office, a young Walter beside Thomas Carter, holding an Indianapolis trophy in 1976. Gasps rippled through the locals, who knew Walter as their mechanic, not a racing legend. 50 years ago, Walter Hayes designed a fuel injection system that powered my father, Thomas Carter, to victory at Indianapolis, Nathan said, his gaze finding Walter. That system became the cornerstone of Carter Automotive's performance division, but Walter was never credited. Today, I'm making it right. Walter Hayes is the true creator of the Hayes fuel injection system. Carter Automotive is awarding him full retroactive royalties, $10 million, and official patent recognition. The crowd erupted, cameras flashing. Walter sat frozen, his weathered face unreadable, but Ava gripped his hand, tears in her eyes. Clara, nearby, clapped furiously, her earlier suspicion replaced by pride. Nathan raised a hand, continuing. But Walter's legacy doesn't end there. His granddaughter, Ava Hayes, is a once-in-a-generation talent. The screen shifted to 3D renderings of Ava's designs, sleek engines, lightweight chassis, a hybrid propulsion system that drew murmurs from the engineers. Ava's work will anchor Carter Automotive's next generation of vehicles, Nathan said. Her hybrid system cuts emissions by 40% without sacrificing power. Effective today, Ava Hayes is our newest junior designer, working part-time from this town to stay with her grandfather. A spotlight found Ava, who blushed but stood, the applause deafening. Nathan gestured her on stage, shaking her hand as cameras clicked. You didn't sign the contract yet, she whispered, her voice shaky. This isn't conditional, Nathan replied softly. It's what should have happened 50 years ago. He turned back to the crowd. Carter Automotive is also establishing the Hayes Innovation Center right here, bringing 200 jobs and a technical training program to this community. Talent isn't confined to boardrooms or big cities. It's here, in places like this. The locals cheered, the mayor beaming, but Nathan's eyes caught Victor Lang in the back row, his tailored suit stark against the small-town crowd. Lang's expression was unreadable, but Nathan knew he'd seen the fake design's failure looming. The trap was closing. Walter, prompted by Ava, joined them on stage, his steps slow but steady. The crowd hushed as he faced Nathan, the son of the man who'd wronged him. Didn't expect this, Walter said, his voice rough but clear. Thought those days were buried. They weren't, Nathan said, extending a hand. Your work built us. It's time the world knew. Walter took his hand, the handshake captured by a flurry of flashes. Ava stood between them, her sketch pad clutched like a shield, her eyes shining. Ellie scribbled furiously, her story already taking shape. Nathan felt a weight lift, but Sophie's absence gnawed at him. He'd fixed one family's past, now he had to mend his own. The high school auditorium buzzed with post-event chatter, reporters typing furiously, locals clapping Walter Hayes on the back, and Ava Hayes fielding questions from Carter Automotive engineers about her hybrid designs. Nathan Carter stood on stage, his tailored suit a stark contrast to the flannel he'd worn as Sam Turner, but the weight of his CEO role felt lighter after publicly honoring Walter and hiring Ava. The $10 million, royalty payment, and patent recognition for Walter's 1976 fuel injection system had righted a decades-old wrong, and Ava's appointment as junior designer marked a new era. But Victor Lang, CEO of Peak Pulse Industries, lingered in the back row, his calculating eyes locked on Nathan. The trap Nathan had set a fake design file planted on Carter Automotive's server had ensnared Lang's hacker, but the rival wasn't done yet. As the crowd thinned, Lang approached, his tailored suit pristine against the auditorium's worn carpet. "Impressive show, Carter," he said, his voice smooth but edged with venom. "Parading a small-town girl and her grandpa to distract from your company's failures. That fake design you leaked? My team's already reverse engineering it. You're out of your depth." "We're out of your depth." Nathan's jaw tightened, but he kept his tone even. "Your team's reverse engineering a dud, Lang. That file's a mess. Unstable torque ratios, overheating coils. You stole it, and I've got the server logs to prove it. The FBI's very interested in your hacker's IP address." Lang's smile faltered, his eyes narrowing. "You think you can scare me with lawsuits? Pete Pulse has deeper pockets than your little PR stunt can handle. That girl's designs? I'll have them by next quarter, legally or not." Before Nathan could respond, Ava stepped forward, her sketchpad clutched like a shield. "My designs aren't for sale," she said, her voice steady despite her trembling hands. "And if you come near my grandpa's shop again, you'll regret it." Walter, standing nearby, placed a hand on Ava's shoulder, his weathered face hard. "She said it, mister. We don't take kindly to thieves round here." Lang sneered, but Clara Mitchell, the grocery store owner, chimed in from the crowd, her voice carrying, "You heard 'em. Fancy pants. This town looks out for its own. Try something, and you'll wish you hadn't." The locals murmured agreement, their solidarity a wall Lang couldn't breach. Nathan seized the moment. "Walk away, Victor. The feds are already tracing your offshore accounts. You're done." Lang's composure cracked, his fists clenching. "This isn't over, Carter," he spat, then turned and stormed out, his polished shoes echoing. Nathan exhaled, but the victory felt fragile. Lang's resources were vast, and his desperation made him dangerous. Sarah, Nathan's head of security, approached, her tablet glowing with updates. "FBI's got Lang's hacker in custody. Server logs are airtight. He's facing wire fraud and espionage charges. Clara's right, though. The town's got your back. You pulled this off." "Not alone," Nathan said, glancing at Ava and Walter. He pulled Ava aside, his voice low. "You were incredible up there. I know you didn't sign the contract yet, but the job's yours, no strings. And Walter's royalties are already processing." Ava's eyes softened, but she held firm. "I'll sign when I'm sure Grandpa's okay." "He's all I've got," Walter overheard, his voice gruff. "I ain't going anywhere, kid. You take that job. Make your mark." Ava hugged him, tears spilling, and Nathan felt a pang for Sophie, his own daughter, still unanswered. As the auditorium cleared, Ellie Brooks, the reporter, cornered Nathan. "That was one hell of a story, Mr. Carter," she said, her notepad full. "My article's going live tonight. The world's gonna eat this up." "Thanks, Ellie," Nathan sighed, wary of her sharp gaze. "Just tell it straight." "Oh, I will," she said, smiling. "But I'm digging into Carter Automotive's past. Sounds like Walter wasn't the only one your dad overlooked." Her words hit like a wrench. Nathan nodded, masking his unease, and headed outside where a surprise waited. Sophie, his 17-year-old daughter, leaning against a rental car, arms crossed. "You didn't call," she said, her voice tight. "I had to see it on the news. What's going on, Dad?" Nathan's heart sank. "Sophie, I'm sorry. I'll explain everything. Just stay for now, please." She hesitated, then nodded, her eyes softening. "You better." By midnight, Ellie Brooks's article, CEO's Secret Mission, Uncovering Genius in Small-Town Garage, had gone viral, racking up millions of views. It detailed Nathan's undercover stint as Sam Turner, Walter's uncredited genius, and Ava's rise, painting Carter Automotive as a company seeking redemption. Social media exploded with hashtag Hayes Legacy, fans praising Nathan's courage, but critics pounced, dredging up Carter Automotive's history of patent disputes and overlooked talent. The stock dipped 8% overnight, and a faction of shareholders, led by a vocal investor named Richard Coleman, demanded a board meeting, accusing Nathan of reckless PR stunts. Nathan, holed up in the motel, fielded calls from his board while Sophie slept on the spare bed, her presence a reminder of his fractured family. Rachel, his assistant, texted, "Coleman's rallying investors. Wants you out." Lang spreading rumors, says our new hybrid's a ripoff of Peak Pulse Tech. Nathan's jaw clenched. Lang, cornered by the FBI, was lashing out, and the media frenzy wasn't helping. He held an impromptu press conference outside the garage the next morning, Walter and Ava at his side, cameras flashing. Carter Automotive made mistakes, Nathan said, his voice firm. "We ignored talent like Walter Hayes and Ava for too long. That ends now." The Hayes Innovation Center and Ava's designs are proof we're building a future that values everyone, not just the loudest wallets. The crowd applauded, Clara and locals cheering, but online, hashtag Carter Scandal trended alongside hashtag Hayes Legacy. A blog post, likely seeded by Lang, questioned the hybrid's originality, citing unnamed sources. Nathan tasked Sarah with tracing the rumors, suspecting Peak Pulse's dirty tricks. Ellie, covering the conference, promised a follow-up piece, her questions about past oversights lingering in Nathan's mind. A new email arrived from Ben Foster, a retired Carter Automotive engineer. Saw the news. Walter wasn't the only one. "Your dad's sidelined. I've got names, stories. Let's talk." Nathan's resolve hardened. The fight wasn't over Lang's schemes, the board's doubts, and Sophie's trust were battles yet to win. But as he watched Walter and Ava wave to the crowd, he knew the truth was out, and Carter Automotive would never be the same. Nathan Carter stood at the head of the boardroom in Carter Automotive's Atlanta headquarters, the city skyline glinting through floor-to-ceiling windows. Gone was the flannel of Sam Turner. His tailored suit fit like a second skin, but the man inside had changed. A week ago, he'd exposed Victor Lang's espionage, honored Walter Hayes for his uncredited 1976 fuel injection system, and hired Ava Hayes as a junior designer, all in a small Tennessee town. The $10 million royalty payment to Walter and the announcement of the Hayes Innovation Center had electrified the industry, but not everyone was cheering. The boardroom, packed with shareholders and executives, simmered with tension, led by Richard Coleman, a vocal investor demanding Nathan's ouster for his reckless undercover stunt. Nathan clicked a remote, the screen behind him displaying the new Carter Automotive logo, a sleek nod to the original racing emblem his father, Thomas Carter, had sketched decades ago. "Ladies and gentlemen," he began, his voice steady, "Carter Automotive has faced a storm of betrayal, oversight, and doubt, but we've emerged stronger. Victor Lang's attempt to steal our designs failed, and Peak Pulse is under federal investigation. Our stock, despite a dip, is stabilizing, buoyed by a $50 million settlement from their misconduct." Murmurs rippled, but Coleman leaned forward, his glasses glinting. "A settlement doesn't erase your absence, Carter. You vanished, played mechanic, and gambled our reputation on a small-town sob story. The Hayes girls' designs unproven. This innovation center? A money pit." Nathan met Coleman's gaze, unflinching. "I scrubbed floors in Walter Hayes's garage, Richard. I saw what happens when we ignore talent. Walter's system built our empire, and we buried him. Ava's designs cut emissions by 40%. Our engineers confirm it. Ignoring that isn't just bad ethics. It's bad business." He gestured to a reserved seat where Ava sat, her sketchpad in hand, Walter beside her, his weathered face proud. These aren't sob stories. They're our future. Sophie Carter, Nathan's 17-year-old daughter, stood unexpectedly, her dark curls bouncing. "My dad risked everything to fix what Grandpa broke," she said, her voice clear. "He's not perfect, but he's trying. That's more than most CEOs do." The room stilled, her words cutting through the corporate chill. Nathan's throat tightened. Sophie's support, after months of distance, was a lifeline. Nathan presented his plan. The Hayes Innovation Center, a $20 million investment for 200 jobs, a scholarship fund for overlooked talent, and a transparent hiring process. "My father built this company on innovation," he said, but lost sight of integrity. "We won't repeat that mistake." The vote was tense, but Sophie's words and the settlement's promise swayed the majority. Coleman relented, his scowl softening. As applause broke out, Nathan caught Ava's eye, her nod a quiet affirmation. He'd won the board, but the real test was ahead. 3 weeks later, Hayes Auto Shop gleamed under a fresh coat of paint, its faded white walls now a crisp ivory, the 1970s gas pump restored as a nostalgic landmark. The gravel lot overflowed with cars, locals, and pickups, reporters and rentals. Carter Automotive engineers in sleek sit-ins for the grand opening of the Hayes Innovation Center. The garage had doubled in size, one bay dedicated to classic car restoration, another fitted with cutting-edge diagnostic tools. A glass-walled design studio, once a storage room, housed 3D printers and drafting tables, its sign reading A Division of Carter Automotive. Nathan stood outside, trading his suit for a Carter-branded polo, shaking hands with the mayor and Clara Mitchell, whose grocery store had catered the event. Inside, the shop buzzed with energy. Walter, in crisp coveralls embroidered with his name, demonstrated a carburetor rebuild to a group of high school students, his voice alive with passion. "This is old school," he said, holding up the part, "but knowing the basics lets you dream bigger." The students, part of the new Hayes Scholarship Program, scribbled notes, their eyes wide. Ava, in a blazer over her usual flannel, led a tour of the design studio. Her hybrid propulsion model, a sleek, efficient marvel projected on a screen. Engineers from Detroit peppered her with questions, her answers sharp and confident. Nathan took the stage, a microphone in hand, the crowd spilling into the lot. Ellie Brooks, the reporter whose viral article had fueled #Hayes Legacy, stood front and center, her camera ready. "Today, we celebrate innovation and integrity," Nathan began. "Walter Hayes built the system that launched Carter Automotive. Ava Hayes is designing the cars that'll define our future. This center isn't just a building. It's a promise to find talent wherever it hides." He gestured to Walter and Ava, who joined him, the crowd roaring. Walter, usually stoic, cracked a smile, his hand resting on Ava's shoulder. "Never thought I'd see this," he said, his voice carrying over the mic. "But it ain't about me. It's about these kids, this town, and doing right." Ava, clutching her sketchpad, spoke next. "My grandpa taught me to fix what's broken, not just cars but dreams. This center's for everyone who's been told their ideas don't matter." Her words drew cheers, Clara wiping tears, the mayor nodding furiously. The event was a triumph. Reporters tweeted live, #Hayes Innovation trending globally. The Hayes Hybrid, Ava's prototype, drew gasps when unveiled a sleek coupe with lines that married power and sustainability. A small group of Peak Pulse loyalists, likely sent by Lang, picketed outside, chanting about corporate overreach. Nathan, unfazed, sent Clara with free coffee and sandwiches. Within minutes, the protesters were eating, their signs lowered. Ellie capturing the moment for her next piece. Sophie, who'd stayed in town, helped serve drinks, a smile brighter than Nathan had seen in years. "This is cool, Dad," she said, passing him a soda. "You're actually doing something good." Nathan pulled her into a hug, his voice thick. "Means the world you're here, Soph." Walter approached, his eyes twinkling. "Your daddy'd be surprised, Nathan. You're not the man he was. You're better." Nathan nodded, the weight of his father's shadow lifting. The center wasn't just a win for Walter and Ava. It was proof Carter Automotive could be more than a machine for profit. As the sun dipped, painting the garage in gold, Nathan saw a future where innovation and integrity weren't just words, but a legacy reborn. 10 months after Nathan Carter's Shelby Cobra broke down on a Tennessee backroad, Carter Automotive stood as a beacon of innovation and integrity. The Atlanta headquarters, once a sterile fortress of glass and steel, now buzzed with purpose. Its lobby adorned with a mural of Walter Hayes's 1976 Indianapolis pit crew and Ava Hayes's hybrid prototype. Nathan sat in his office, a framed photo of his father, Thomas Carter, beside one of Walter and Ava at the Hayes Innovation Center's opening. Financial alerts on his tablet glowed. Carter Automotive stock had soared 50% since the center's launch, driven by record pre-orders for the Hayes Hybrid, Ava's sleek, sustainable coupe. Industry accolades poured in, with car and driver calling it the future of performance and customer trust, bolstered by #Hayes Legacy, hit an all-time high. But for Nathan, the true triumph lay beyond the numbers. The legal fallout had been decisive. Victor Lang, CEO of Peak Pulse Industries, faced federal charges for wire fraud and corporate espionage after his hacker's arrest. His botched attempt to steal Ava's designs via a fake file exposing his desperation. Peak Pulse's stock plummeted 15%, and Lang's board forced his resignation, ending his smear campaign against Carter Automotive. The $50 million settlement, combined with Walter's $10 million royalty payment for his fuel injection system, had silenced skeptics like Richard Coleman, whose shareholder faction now praised Nathan's vision. Nathan's legal team, led by Clara Evans, ensured Walter's patent was officially recognized, cementing his place in automotive history. The Hayes Innovation Center transformed the small Tennessee town. The expanded garage, its neon sign glowing proudly, created 250 jobs, from engineers to apprentices, revitalizing the local economy. Walter, at 73, taught weekly classes on classic mechanics, his gravelly voice and scarred hands captivating high schoolers in the Hayes Scholarship Program, which funded 120 students' technical educations. Ava, splitting her time between the Center and Carter Automotive's Atlanta labs, led the Hayes Hybrid's development, her designs earning patents and drawing offers from rivals she politely declined. Her confidence, once buried under rejection, now shone, her sketchpad a constant companion, filled with ideas for next-generation vehicles. Community impact was profound. Clara Mitchell's grocery store thrived with new customers, and the mayor credited the center with having unemployment. Ellie Brooks's follow-up article, From Garage to Glory, The Hayes Legacy, won a regional journalism award, her digging into Carter Automotive's past prompting Nathan to launch an internal review. Ben Foster, the retired engineer who'd contacted Nathan, provided a list of overlooked innovators from Thomas Carter's era, leading to a $5 million restitution fund. Nathan personally apologized to each, a humbling process that reshaped his leadership. Personal victories were quieter but deeper. Sophie Carter, Nathan's 17-year-old daughter, spent her summer at the center, interning under Ava and rebuilding her bond with Nathan. Their late-night talks, often over greasy pizza in the garage, healed years of distance. "You're not just a suit anymore, Dad," she'd said, her grin a mirror of his own. Nathan, once chained to boardroom metrics, now joined Walter monthly to tinker on classic cars, rediscovering the joy that first drew him to the industry. Challenges persisted. Richard Coleman's allies grumbled, about the restitution fund's cost. And Sarah, Nathan's head of security, reported Peak Pulse's new CEO plotting a comeback, possibly through market poaching. Nathan tasked her with vigilance, knowing the industry never slept. Yet, as he watched Ava present her latest design to a virtual conference, Walter cheering from the sidelines, he saw a legacy stronger than any rival schemes. The Hayes family had given Carter Automotive its soul back, and Nathan was determined to keep it. Nathan stood in the original Hayes auto shop, now a museum annexed to the Innovation Center, its worn counter and retro tools preserved like relics. A portrait of Walter hung above, his steely eyes and warm smile capturing the man who'd fixed a stranger's car and changed an industry. "We made it right, Walter," Nathan whispered, his voice thick. Beside it, a photo of Thomas Carter in Indianapolis, arm around Walter, reminded him of the past they'd redeemed. Memories flooded back Nathan at 10, watching his father tune a Mustang, unaware of the costs of ambition. He'd found his own path, one Walter and Ava had lit. This story is a testament to humanity's capacity for justice and renewal. Nathan's journey shows that redemption begins with facing hard truths, while Walter's resilience proves integrity outlasts betrayal. Ava's rise teaches us that talent, no matter how hidden, can reshape the world when given a chance. Their legacy reminds us to value people over profit, to listen to the quiet voices, and to build futures that honor the past, a lesson for every industry and heart. Want more tales of courage and redemption? Subscribe to Legacy Stories on YouTube, where we share stories that inspire and unite. Hit the bell, join our community, and let's celebrate the human spirit together. Nathan stepped outside, the Tennessee sunset painting the garage gold. Sophie waved from the lot, her internship badge gleaming. Ava and Walter joined them, their laughter echoing. The shop's neon sign flickered on, a beacon of dreams reclaimed. Nathan smiled, knowing the road ahead wasn't just about cars. It was about family, trust, and a legacy worth driving forward.